Greetings and salutations, everyone, or if people will like this or if they will like it the other way, but welcome to the Crossroads. And today we're going to be talking about very quickly the upcoming Adventure Academia Season 3 that is starting. And it is going to be starting up, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. That's one of the reasons I'm putting this out today is because, and doing this live today is because this is happening tomorrow and the kids are going to get to see it. And I like to have it up the day before they see it so that they can look at it if they actually do stuff with it. So let's go ahead and run through it right after we do our announcements. Real quick announcements are that the Planar Crossroads is trying to get to an $100 support every month, if it can, through any combination of Patreon, Subscribestar, Locals, or Direct Contact. So if you want to get in on that and have access to our Discord or anything like that, you can do that. Um, I think the only other announcement is that we're doing March of the Mechs when this comes out. Yes, March of the Mechs when this comes out, and we're going to be doing so with the Avenue Studios, our kind of not exactly sister channel, but uh, our cohorts in content creation, you might say. So we're going to be doing that with them, and they're going to be doing some cool stuff on their side with it. So Lord willing, y'all will get to see that if you want to. But we're going to focus in on our Adventure Academia now. So for those that have been watching, the Adventure Academia has been carrying through. And last season the first season they made it through and they were fighting Grum's uh, goblins, and then they went and they finally faced Grum after going in a little, uh, after having a slight tangent to find the thing they needed to have to be able to vanquish a dragon. So they got that, and they were able to defeat Grum, and now they are coming back around. So we're going to set up the story for it, and the kids read the story stuff, and Lord willing, that'll be something they can do pretty smoothly. I like to incorporate all the different things that the kids might do with might use in education. That's why it's called Adventure Academia, not just Adventure Arithmetic. So, Adventure Calls Again is what I decided for this one. And we have, after the defeat of the dauntless dragon, Hildegard and Maximilian return to their beloved city of bronze, Wilhelm to his people's defense, and Devereux to his wanderings. While the others seemed to settle back into their lives fairly quickly, the nomadic druid was less at ease. To him the moon was behaving strangely, and the stars still bore signs of conflict. Far sooner than Wilhelm had expected, the Star Child was on his doorstep, unannounced, to tell him that they both needed to reunite with their friends in the Shining Land immediately. Taken aback slightly, but knowing better than to doubt, he told his newly betrothed a reluctant farewell and set off with Devereux toward the city of towers. So that's the first paragraph. Usually I separate it by paragraphs when the kids are reading. So that's the setup for the adventure call, and then we come into what has been happening. This is something I run into all the time, having to be very brief with the descriptions of what's happening because I only have 40 minutes, 45 minutes ish with the kids because they have to go between classes. So that's the only time I get. So they have to read, and then we get into some mathy type stuff. But picking back up in Adventure Calls again. When Maximilian and Hildegard had returned to their beautiful home city, they were met with no little pomp and circumstance. The Warren had heard of their heroism and had and called and set the city. I'm gonna make a live notation. Live notation. So and had there we go. Set the city to welcome them. Tales of their deeds had preceded them, apparently with ever greater embellishments with each telling. Had it not been for Hildegard's guiding hand, Maximilian might have succumbed to the siren's song of his own popularity. Thankfully, she was able to keep them both on to the facts whenever they told the story officially before the Warren and his council. The tale was heroic enough on its own, and the whole court had seemed thoroughly impressed. Much had to be considered now, so they were dismissed to their respective temple and tower while the council made further decisions. And this allows me to cover. I have to do that quick storytelling like I'm saying. So not only do we find out in this first paragraph that Wilhelm has gotten a newly betrothed, so he's got him a little heifer at home to come back to, because he's a minotaur. For those coming in late, he's a minotaur. So those are the words that he would actually use. He has a heifer at home to go back to, and some calves that, well, he doesn't have calves yet, but he's looking at it anyway. And then Maximilian and Hildegard, they went back to their respective temple and tower. Hildegard to her temple, and Maximilian to his tower, the mage tower specifically, since he's a mage. So I'm having to do that storytelling within this. Picking back up, before too long, as he usually did, Devereaux showed up out of the blue to call their group back together. Maximilian, annoyed at being pulled away from his pursuit of a cure for his animal condition, sued for answer as to why. The Star Child, true to his people's nature, would only look up at the sky for a moment and say that the blood star was bright. This ambiguity only further annoyed Maximilian. Hildegard and Wilhelm only snickered to themselves. I'm going to change. Okay, live notation. Simply. There we go. Simply snickered to themselves. Before the little mage could protest further, a red flash lit the night sky in the far west. I'm going to put that. Lit the night sky far in the west. Each of the dragon slayers looked to the other. In that moment, they knew their work was not done. There was another great serpent that needed to be vanquished. They must go face Rexus, the red dragon. And so there we have that start off. There's the adventure hook. That's usually what I do with the adventure calls section. Or last time it was, first time it was adventure begins, and then the second season it was adventure continues, and now it's adventure calls again. So that's what I do with these sections right here. And so this one, we're going to lead up into things that are story things. And here we have two settings. So Half's home, or the beautiful hills, and West Dwarf Mountains, or the Great Teeth. And we will explain what that means. So Half's home, or the beautiful hills, is the homeland of the halflings. And so we'll see that right here. And then I'll be able to expand a bit on that with this season. And then next season, we will have the Great Teeth. Well, no, we'll have it this season too. The Great Teeth, or the West Dwarf Mountains. And so these will be the setting. This is the setting point pieces for the season 3. So Half's home, or the beautiful hills. Sometimes called Half's home by those only familiar with the dominant inhabitant of the area, the beautiful hills is the most fertile portion of the Centerland. Located between the City of Spires and the West Dwarf Mountains, Los Hermosas Colinas, as it is called in the halfling tongue, is dotted with picturesque homesteads in between quaint little hamlets and townships. The halflings have named the largest settlement, which sits almost directly between the City of Bronze and the West Dwarf Mountains. I need to fix that. Okay, so more live editing. So we'll say the halflings here have named the largest settlement, which sits between here, after the province itself. And so that means that There we go. So that means that it is also called, their largest settlement is called Beautiful Hills, or Hermosas, where is it? Hermosas Colinas. There it is. Hermosas Colinas. So now this reads, you guys get to have this right here. The halflings here have named the largest settlement, which sits almost directly between the city of Bronze and the West Dwarf Mountains, after the province itself. It provides a picturesque example of balance between commercial development and natural beauty. No doubt this is much owed to the general talent of the halflings that the halflings tend to have with nature-based magics. So here we have the uh, the half's home type of setup, and what has been going on with it, and what I like, what I have going on with it, is that the um, the halflings are very nature based. Think hobbits from the Lord of the Rings, but more magical. So, um, because magic is a bit more commonplace in this one, in this setting. So we have the Half's Home or the Beautiful Hills, and as I did stated last time, I mix in real languages and substitute for languages that you could just make up, because this not only is this educational, but I also want to learn languages, different languages. So that's why the um, the West Dwarf Mountains is called Los Hermosas Colinas, because all of my halflings are Spanish based. The halfling tongue is Spanish in my headcanon type of thing. And so that helps me learn Spanish. But that is Los Hermosas Colinas, which is the beautiful hills, or as the common people, the travelers and traders usually call it, Half's Home, because of the halflings. This is where they are going to be going first in this first introductory session that we do. But I'll get to that in a second. Dan from Avenue Studios commented, and he's the one that we're doing our collaboration with. So hi, Dan, and all that. But I got to get on it. I got to keep going. So that's Los Hermosas Colinas, the beautiful hills, for where they'll be going next. And they'll be going, the introductory is going to try and get them to this little introductory adventure. And then they're going to be going from Beautiful Hills, specifically that settlement, which is called Beautiful Hills, named after the land itself, to the West Dwarf Mountains, or the Great Teeth. So now let's go into the West Dwarf Mountains. Hemming in the westernmost side of the shining land, and okay, hi Dan, listening alternatively. Okay, hemming in the westernmost side of the shining land and separating it from the rainbow sands are the West Dwarf Mountains, named. Now, I'm not as good with Russian, which is what all my dwarfs are. So, if you know Russian, you can correct me. Velikije Jevi, I think. So it's called the Great Teeth, named Velikije Zevil. I don't know. I'd have to have that pronounced for me, but I'll do it right for the kids. Or the Great Teeth. In Dwarvish language, it is unlike the spine, which is the East Dwarf Mountains. In the east, the peaks jut up and cross in places, like the jagged fangs of a hungry beast trying to gnash at the sky. Despite the foreboding appearance of their home, the stone folk and jewel bones of this area are not any less hospitable than their eastern cousins, though where their cousins tend to favor more martial skills, these dwarves tend to be more magically inclined. This seems to be especially true for dwarves that are linked to the mineral obsidian. such of the dwarven race tend to only be found in these mountains. So I get to do more world building here with this. These short little blurbs are the only way I can do world building in this particular one. But Dan was correct. This little backwards 3, for those of you interested in languages and such, this little backwards 3 right here, that is a zh. So anyway, back on track. No distractions. The stone folk and jewel bones there are a little different. I do want to set them aside differently. So we have the spine, which is more traditional type of stone look and certain gemstones over there. And then you have the other side of the west one, which has stones that are much more associated with volcanic activity, like obsidian, because Rexus lives over there in his volcano on the other side of those mountains. So that's why I went with it that way. I thought that was a good way to do it. It was an interesting way to build out the world with story and with storytelling. So that's what we did with this. And they, like I said, are going to be coming here. The getting to here is fairly easy because it's in the peaceful area of the Centerland, though they will encounter some things. This, getting from beautiful hills to the Great Teeth, that will be their challenge for this one, and maybe a little inside the Great Teeth. We will see how far they get. So that's the plan for this one. We are going to be doing a every week type of thing for these updates. So if you want to be interested, or if you are interested in that and want to see those, you can do that. Let me know down in the comments below if you prefer this way with a live where I got those live edits in there and things I gotta fix, or if you prefer something a bit more edited like I did before. Either way's okay. It's a little bit more effort to do these to record them and then post them, simply because it takes extra time to do that, and the internet is not always cooperating lately. So we will try to get that done for y'all if that's what you guys are more interested in. Otherwise, we'll do this, and we might do some little doodlings and such when we have time on these Mondays. So Mondays, at the moment, the current plan is to do lives of our current printout and all of that, and then see what you guys like otherwise. So that's everything for this adventure. I did want to show off just a few things with the characters that have been updated, just in case anybody's interested. Everybody went up to level 3, so there we are. So the kids are going to be dealing with higher numbers now. Also, a major change for Wilhelm is that he got, his feats updated a little bit. He got Battlefield Opportunist 3, Lethal Strike. He had these 3 already, I believe, but he got Battlefield Opportunist 3. So that means he can do some more stuff with his an additional opportunity attack for each of those. So if he gets surrounded, he can keep on taking opportunity attacks on those enemies, which is kind of his role. And then also, he got Dragon's Bane, the Dragon's Bane Claymore. Now, this right here is the big deal for Wilhelm. Wilhelm has Dragon's Bane Claymore, which is, I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary story-wise to kill a dragon, but it sure helps. It has 2 current abilities, one of which has a choice behind it. So the first one is the blade does 1d6 extra damage when used against draconic enemies, and this is going to include things made by Rexus or the other dragons, because they would be technically considered draconic in origin. So we have that there. So their kids are going to be adding that extra d6, but also you may make a free action fortitude roll to apply the following enhancements to this weapon. The DC for the fortitude roll begins at 12 and increases by 1 with each use until the user rests safely for at least 8 hours. So basically, the next day. You must choose before making the fortitude roll. If the player chooses to activate more than one, the fort roll DC goes up by 1. Each of these enhancements fade after 1 round. So what this does is this allows fortitude to do something in battle, because fortitude is something that usually only affects your health, but I wanted it to do something more. So that's why the Dragon's Bane Claymore, not only do you essentially have to have a certain amount of fortitude to be really using this thing safely, but also it rewards those that invest in fortitude without it just being, oh, hey, your hit points go up some. So it can be extended, which grants 5 more reach with attacks made with it, which is very good for Wilhelm, because he is a large creature now, which means he has 10 feet of reach. And if he says, I'm going to roll to extend the blade, he has to hit a 12. And so he hits that. And so he has that for 1 round. Okay. Now he's going to add another, that's going to fade in 1 round, and say he wants to have it again. Well, he rolls again, but this time it's 13, because each time he uses this ability, this number 2 ability, he is increasing the DC. So he has to roll a 13 this time. Or if he wants to extend the blade and increase potency, which is this third thing down here, he can do 2d6 extra damage instead of 1d6 to draconic enemies, and extend the blade, so he could have 15 feet doing 2d6 extra damage to the enemies. But that means if he activates these at the same time, it goes up by 2 more instead of just 1 more. So this 12 would, if this is the first time he uses it in a day, this 12 would go up to a 14 that he has to roll. And again, that fades after 1 round, but he can maintain it if he continues to roll, type of thing. If he continues to make that roll, well, he can reignite it, I should say, not maintain it. But that keeps going up because he's already doing might versus whatever they are, and might is his best attribute. So that's not what I'm worried about for him. I'm going to see how much the kids want to risk on that, because sometimes the kids get risky and sometimes they do not. All right, so we got Maximilian next. He had some things go on. I gave him multi-attack specialist area, because the kids have been wanting to hit lots of enemies at a time. So that's what I've been doing with that one. They've been wanting to hit an area attack at a time. So multi-attack specialist area is what I went for. And then we got area manipulation there, so he can omit 1 person at a time, and so on and so forth. Those were the main things for him. And I will say, it's spoilers for the kids, but I don't think they watch these anyway. The fire crystal he has, because in this one, I'm kind of setting up that each element that they want to try and funnel and use needs to be applied in some way to their in this case, his mage's staff. So he's got a fire crystal right now. He will find out in this particular set of combat that it's not very effective against these fire-based enemies made by Rexus. So he's going to acquire one in the next session, we will say. That's what we'll do. He's going to acquire an ice one or a water one, depending on what we go for. So there you go. That's the main thing for him. He has his skills did go up, so he can do more with teleportation, which the kids also use sometimes, and we will like to play with that. All right. Hildegard, she was pretty easy to update, also at level 3. Oh, by the way, Maximilian is still small size, so he can definitely ride on Wilhelm's back, though I'm not sure that would be a good idea in the heat of battle. So for Hildegard, she's got stuff going on for her that the superior concentration is what I really wanted to go for her. And I think I also gave her resilience this time. She has it. So she has advantage 1 on a resist roll, which just seems to fit her. She's very will-based. That's one of her third highest stat is will. So it works out for her. Let me see. That's mainly what I got for her. Hopefully they don't try to summon any more donuts with Hildegard. Uh, that was I was trying. They had last day itis when they tried to do that. But anyway, superior concentration 2 for Devro, as well as boon focus 2 is what he has going on. Updated to level 3 as expected. He has the same basic abilities, and I didn't really change his around much. I did improve his telepathy, though. His prescience, I should say, because that's what I'm investing heavily in for him, because as a star child, as basically kind of a stretched out elf that's highly associated with stars, he is very much going to be using that prescience to roll different ways, like reading the stars kind of thing, and so on. And there's a reason that that actually works in Atar, but I'm not spoiling any story stuff. Let me see. That's mainly his thing. He always has that. He has that concealment already. He has that alteration going on, and his alteration lets him shapeshift into these things. And I did not update them at all. I want to see how they will go. We've got the celestial bear, the moonless nighthawk, the serpent in the stars, and the starweaver spider. We're going to see how the kids use them, and I don't really think they'll need updated because he's an alt tank. He can tank if he needs to in the bear form, or he can scout in the moonless nighthawk. But I don't know that they'll need to. We will see what they decide to do. But that's what we've got this time. That is Adventure Academia Season 3. Excuse me. Adventure Academia Season 3. Okay. Well, hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Again, let down in the comments what you guys like, dislike about this live version. If you like the live version better, we're coming right 30 minutes, which is good. If you like this live commentary better and seeing me having to fix things and fiddle with it live, then we will continue it this way. Unless I get told otherwise, this is what we'll plan to do for the foreseeable future uh, until internet is a bit better. If internet gets a bit better sooner, then we might be able to record those and upload those just super fast for you. And Lord willing, that'll happen. But like I said, I want to keep this below 30 minutes, or right around 30 minutes. So hope you have enjoyed it. This is Adventure Academia. Let me know what you would do with the different things that I've brought up, including the Dragon's Bane Claymore. I would be interested to hear what revisions or what tweakings everybody thought might be good for it. So that's what I've got for this time, travelers. Remember, you can support and you can like, share, and subscribe. Support on the In a Planar Crossroads via Patreon, Subscribe Star, or Locals, or Direct Contact, and that gets you access to our Discord where we share fun stuff like this once we get it all put together in a printable PDF form. So there we go. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.